am your physics teacher from IVS school. So, first of all, I like to share some instruction, screenshot of every slide that will be shared, and do your home task on your fair copies. So today we continue the previous chapter, that is about the electricity, and the today's topic are electric field, electric intensity, electric potential difference, electromotive force, capacitors, electric current. Okay, so first of all, we have to understand that what is the meaning of field. Uh, so we must have to recall that what is the gravitational field. As you can see that the arrows around the earth represent its gravitational field. So if we throw any object within its gravitational field, it will attract toward the earth without being in a physical contact. It will move toward the earth or it will fall on the earth. Similarly, so we can say that the region where the gravitational force can be felt or where we can feel it, the effect of gravitational force, so that region is known as the gravitational field. Okay, now we will move toward the magnet. As you can see that if we place any magnetic material within the field of a magnet, so it will attract toward the magnet or it will repel with the toward the magnet. So that we can say that the area or a region around the magnet where we can feel its magnetic effect, so that region around the magnet is known considered as a magnetic field. Okay, I hope you will understand that what is gravitational field. The region around the earth where the influence of the gravitational force can be felt is called gravitational field, and the region around the magnet where the magnetic force can be felt is known as magnetic field. So similarly, we have some electric field. So electric field is the region. As you can see that if we place a balloon, if we place a charged balloon toward the bits of paper, so it will attract toward the balloon. And if we place a charged comb or a charged ruler toward the bits of paper, it will attract toward the comb or a ruler. Or if we place two same balloons, same charged particle balloons with each other, so it will also repel each other. So you can also consider that there is no physical contact between the bits of paper and a balloon, as well as a plastic comb or a ruler with the dead papers. But there is the existence of the force around that charged object. So we can also say that it is the region around an object where the influence of the electrostatic force can be felt. So that region is known as the electric field. Okay. I hope you will understand that what is the electric field. The region around the charged object where the influence of that electrostatic force can be felt is known as electric field. And do remember that there is no physical contact between the two opposite charge object or the two similar object, but we can feel the effect of force. Okay. So we are moving toward the topic that is about the electric field. So here we have two charges. First one is positive and the other is negative. So the region around the positive charge is known as where the influence of that positive electrostatic force can be felt is considered as a electric field. And here we have a negative charge. So the region around that negative charge where the influence of its force can be felt is considered as a electric field. Okay, I hope you will understand. So how can we define electric field? The space around the charge in which its influence can be felt by another charge. Okay, and that influence can be attractive, that influence can be repulsive. So that is known as the electric field. Now we will take the two charges. First one is considered as the source charge and other is considered as a test charge or a point charge. Why we call it test charge? Because through this charge we can test the electric field of a source charge. Okay, so we brought that point charge nearer to the source charge, so that it can felt the effect of that electrostatic force. So when it come in contact, it will repel because they both have a similar charges, so it will repel that charge. So that's how we can say that through this test charge we can feel or the electrostatic force of that charge. So this is the region around the source charge where its electrostatic force can be felt. So that is known as electric field. Okay, and if we want to know the strength of the electric field, so there is another term which is considered as the electric intensity. And what is that electric intensity? So the strength of the electric field is depend upon the amount of charge that is create the field and the distance from the charge. To understand that electric intensity or electric strength, that is the measure of electric field. Suppose an electric charge to create an electric field, as we have discussed. So we consider that charge as a source charge, and the strength of the charge of the source charge electric field could be measured by another charge, that is point charge. Okay. So the charge which is used to measure the electric field is considered as a test charge. And we place that point charge or test charge in the field of source charge, so it experiences an electric force, either attractive or repulsive. Okay, but here we have to find that how much is the strength of electric field, and that is known as electric intensity. So electric intensity is equals to F divided by Q naught, means when we replace force is the F is the electrostatic force, and that electrostatic force is replaced by 1 over 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 upon r square. This is the formula of the electrostatic force. And if we replace that electrostatic force by that formula. So, and 1 over q naught, which is q naught is in the denominator, and this is the point charge. Do remember that this is the test charge or the point charge. So it will remain same, that 1 over q naught is remain same. And what we have done in this step, that we replace F by the formula 1 upon 4 pi epsilon into q1 q naught upon r square. So here we have 2 point charges, two test charges, 2 point charges, and that's why we will cancel that 2 charges. Okay, and do remember that what is that F? F is the electrostatic force. Okay, so we replace that force by Q. Q over 4 pi epsilon r square. That is the final formula of electric intensity. Okay, so electric intensity can be defined as, mathematical definition of electric intensity can be defined as force per unit charge. That is force per unit charge. Oh, I hope you will understand it, that how we define electric intensity. It is about force per unit charge. And the electric intensity is a vector quantity, that its direction is same as that of the force that will act on a unit positive charge. Okay, what will be the direction of the electric intensity? It is same as that of the force that will act on a unit positive charge, means that is on the test charge. Now the what will be the unit? In the SI unit, the Newton per coulomb is the unit of electric intensity. As we have discussed, that what is the formula of electric intensity? Electric intensity formula is force per charge. So we replace the quantity by their unit. So the unit of force is Newton and the unit of charge is Coulomb. So the unit of electric intensity will become Newton per Coulomb. Newton is a unit of force and Coulomb is a unit of charge, and that why we replace is Newton per Coulomb. Okay, I hope you will understand it, that what is the unit of electric intensity. Electric intensity means that with how much force a charge attract the other charge. So here is the difference between the gravitational field and the electric field. So energy is required to move an object against its gravitational field, and the movement of a positive test charge within the electric field is accompanied by change in potential energy. Similarly, Object naturally move from the high potential to a low potential under the influence of the force field. So work must be done to move an object against the nature. For example, that work is done by the gravity and work is done against the gravity means when we place some stone at the point at some height edge and we remove the external force, so that stone will come again toward the earth due to its potential energy. And when we take that stone at a height edge, so it has a high potential energy at that height. And when we release it from that height, it will come toward the earth, and at that point, it has low potential energy. So anything which we take against the gravity, it will get its high potential energy which is stored in it, and then and when we release it, it will come toward the low potential energy level, okay, when we release it. Similarly, here we have two charges, and it is we take one source charge and a one point charge, and when we come in contact and when we move from a charge from point A to point B, so we have to do some work on it, and it is against the gravitational field. As you can see that the arrow indicate the gravitational fields, it is in the direction, and when we move from A to B, so here you can see that the charges move from A to B, so some work has to be done on it, which is stored as a potential energy, or we can say that it is electrostatic potential energy. Okay, now to understand the further understanding of electric potential energy, we must have to understand here something relate to the water, that when the water falls from a high level, so at the mountain, its energy level is high, and when it flow down, so at the level of the lake, it has low energy level. So water is always from a high energy to a low energy, okay, that is how the waters flow. It always flow from a high energy level or toward the low energy level. And similarly, here we consider another example where we have two tanks of water, and you can see that both have a same level of water, but if I want to move the water from one tank to the other tank, so how is it possible if we connected the two tanks and we want to move the water from the one tank to other? So can it move? No, we have to do something to move it from the one tank to the other tank. So what we have to do? We just increase the height of any one tank, so that the water will be flow from one tank to the other tank, okay. Do remember it that what we are doing to flow the water, to we have to increase the height of any one tank, so that the water will be flow from the first tank to the other tank. So how it can possible that here we can increase the height of the any one tank, and now the water is start to flow from a higher level to a lower level, okay. I repeat that water is start to flow from a higher level to a lower level. So do remember it that whenever we want to flow something, as you can see that water is already present in both of the tank, but we have to make the flow from the one tank toward the other tank. So to do this, we must have to increase the potential level of any one tank, so that the water will be flow from the one tank to the other tank. I hope you will understand that thing. Okay, take a screenshot of that slide and we will move toward the further explanation. So here we are using that phenomena which we have discussed in the previous slide, that the potential difference between point A and B is equals to the amount of work done by carrying a unit positive charge from A to B. As you can see in a picture that we have two parallel plates. Here we have a positive charge and here we have a negative charge. And as you can see that these arrows indicate the electric field lines. What we are going to do, we are just moving that positive charge from point A to point B. Okay, what we are doing, we are moving a charge from point A to location point B. So in moving the charge against the electric field from location A to location B, work will have to be done on the charge. Okay, what we are doing, that we are doing that we are moving a charge from a location A to a location B, and while doing this we have to do some work on it. So work will have to be done on the charge by the external force. Do remember it that we are moving a charge from point to point B, and by the external force we are using the external force to do that work, and the work done on the charge change its potential energy. Okay, and here you have to remember one thing. As you can see that the arrow is from the positive to a negative, so the electric field is always in the direction from positive to negative, and when we are moving a charge from A to B means we are placing it against the field. Okay, we are doing some work against the field. So when the work is done on the charge, its potential energy of a higher value. Okay, the work done on the charge change its potential energy to a higher value, and the amount of work that is done is equal to the change in the potential energy. Okay, I repeat, the work done on the charge change its potential energy to a higher level. When we move the charge from point A to point B, so the some work is done on it, and due to this work done, it's changed its potential energy to a higher level. Okay, means at B its energy level is become higher. Okay, as a result of this change in potential energy, there is also a difference in electric potential between location A and a location B. Okay, as a result of this change in potential energy, there is also a difference in electric potential between the location A and a location B. So this difference in electric potential is represented as electric potential difference. Okay, I repeat that this difference in electric potential is represented as a electric potential difference. I hope you will understand that what will be the electric potential, and I am going to repeat the whole process because it is difficult. As you can see in a diagram that we have a positive charge as we have some negative charge, and the arrows indicate the electric field, and the electric field is from positive to a negative charge. As I told you that electric field is always occur from a higher potential to a lower potential. So to remember it that the positive terminal or the positive charges considered as a higher potential and a negative potential. So electrons are always move from a higher potential to a lower potential, but here we have to do some work against the electric field. As you can see that electric field is from positive to negative, and we are moving a charge from point A to point B, and it is against the electric field. So consider a task of moving a positive test charge within a uniform electric field from location A to location B. So in moving the charge against the electric field from location A to location B, work will have to be done on the charge by the external force. So the work done on the charge change its potential energy to a higher value, and the amount of work that is done is equals to the change in the potential energy. Okay, the work done on the charge change its potential energy to a higher value, and the amount of work that is done is equals to the change in the potential energy. So, as a result of this change in potential energy, there is also a difference in the electric potential between location A and location B. And this difference is in electric potential is represented as the electric potential difference. Okay, I hope you will understand it. And now, here is the formula that VA represent uh, electric potential at point A, and VB represent electric potential at point B. So here we have to find a change in a voltage, or we can say that change in a potential difference. So potential difference can be defined as work done from moving a charge from point A to point B divided by the Q. Q represent the amount of charge. Okay, so you can easily understand that the potential difference between A and B is equals to the amount of work done by carrying a unit positive charge from A to B against the electric field represented by WAB. W represent the work done from moving a charge from point to A to B, and it is divided by the charge, that is Q. So this is the formula of the electric potential difference, work done divided by the unit positive charge. So take a screenshot of this slide and we will move further. It will help you for doing your home task. So here is the electromotive force. So now, what is the electromotive force? Electromotive force is defined as the electric potential produced by either electrochemical cell. So do remember here that electromotive force is just the uh, push or the chemical energy which push the electron to revolve around in a circuit. Okay, what is EMF or electromotive motive force? It is the force which is need to move the electron in a circuit. It is a push. It is the uh, uh, energy, chemical energy, which is required to push the electron to move in a circuit. Okay, when the cell is connected to a circuit, it produces a current which passes through all the component in the circuit and itself. So the energy required to drive the charge around the circuit is called electromotive force, and it is defined as potential energy applied to each unit of a charge. Okay, so here take a screenshot of this slide and we will move further. Now, here is the difference between the electromotive force and the potential difference. So, EMF is defined as the work done on a unit charge. So EMF, and what is potential difference? Potential difference defined as the energy which is dissipated as the unit charge pass through the component. Okay, EMF remain constant, but the potential difference is not constant. Okay, it will be changed. Now, here we have a parallel plate capacitor. So, parallel plate capacitor, to understand the parallel plate capacitor, you must have to understand the construction and working of a parallel plate capacitor. So, take a screenshot of this slide. So, all the description which is defined here, we will study by the diagram. Capacitor is a device to store charge and energy. Do remember it that what is a capacitor? Capacitor is a device which is used to store charge and energy. Means that charge and energy are stored in the capacitor, and when the circuit required extra energy and charge, so that capacitor will help out to run a current in a circuit. Okay. So capacitors store energy by holding apart pairs of opposite charges. Since a positive charge and a negative charge attract each other and naturally want to come together when they are held a fixed distance apart. Okay, so here is the construction and working of the capacitor. The simplest design for the capacitor is a parallel plate, which consists of two metal plates with a gap between them. Electrons are placed on one plate, while an equal amount of electrons are removed from the other plates or the positive plate. Okay, we have two types of plates in it. One is the positive charge plate and the other is the negative charge plate. So once opposite charge plates have been placed on either side of a parallel plate capacitor, the charges can be used to do work by allowing them to move toward each other through a circuit. This usually require them to travel through a circuit as a current and perform some tasks. Okay, take a screenshot of this slide and we will move toward the diagram. Here is the parallel plate capacitor. As you can see that we have the two plates and these are the metallic plates. Okay, so here we have some positive charge and here we have some negative charges. Okay, here we have some positive charge and here we have some negative charge. And the lines indicate the electric field between the positive and the negative charges. Okay, and the distance between the two plates is represented by a d, or we can also represent by it r. Okay, so what we are, how we get these charges? We can take a metallic plate and rub it with a silk cotton, silk cloth, and we get a charge on it. And when we place in contact with this plate to the other plate, so the charge which is already present on that plate, that charge will induce the charges on the other plate, and that's how we can get one positive charge plate and the other negative charge plate. Okay, and when we place the two plates in the contact, so what has happened, the electric field is exists between the two plates. Okay, that's how we can place the capacitor with the two parallel plate and each of cross section area A and separated by a distance d. Okay, so the capacity of a capacitor to store the charges can be increased or can be decreased. And how it is possible that the capacity of a capacitor can be increased? It is increased due to the area of the charge. If the increase the area of the charge, so the more charge can be induced on the two plates, and that's how the capacity of a capacitor will be increased, because capacitor is a device which is used to store the charge. For example, if we have a small room, and so in that room we can place 30 or 40 student in that 30 student on that room. But if we have a very big room, so we can place many students on that room. So similarly, if we have a large area of the plate, so we can induce a large amount of charge, we can store a large amount of charge on these plates. But if we have the small area, so we can store small amount of charges. Now the second factor of that is the distance between the two charges. As I told you that if the distance between the two charges is small, so we have a greater or strong electric field. And if the distance between the two charges uh, are very much greater, so we have less amount of electric field. But if we place these two plates are very close to each other, so we have a strong electric field between them, and that will increase the capacity of a capacitor to hold the charge for the uh, greater time. Okay, so take a screenshot of this slide and we will move toward the next one. Here is the capacity of a capacitor. So what is the capacity of a capacitor? Capacitance, which is also known as capacitance. So capacitance means the capacity of a capacitor to store the charge. Okay, what is the meaning of capacitance? Capacitance means the capacity of a capacitor to store the charges. So when charge Q is transferred on the plate of a capacitor, the potential difference between the plates also increase. Okay, as I told you that when charge Q is transferred on the plates of a capacitor, the potential difference between the plates also increases. It's mean that the charge Q on the plates of a capacitor is directly proportional to the electric potential between them. Okay, if we increase the amount of charge on the plates of a capacitor, so it also increase the potential, electric potential, that is indicated by the V. So we can say that the charge is directly proportional to the potential difference. And if we replace that directly proportional sign to the equals to sign, so we have to apply a constant, where C is a constant called the capacity of a capacitor or the capacitance. Okay, what we call that constant? It is the capacity of a capacitor, or we can say that capacitance. So these are the charges which is stored in a plate. And now, what about the unit of the capacity of a capacitor? When we consider the unit of a capacity, so we have to again look at the formula. That formula is Q is equals to C over V. And what we are doing, we are finding the unit of that capacity of a capacitor, means C. So to find the unit of a C, we replace the quantity Q and V by their units. So the unit of charge is coulomb, and the unit of potential difference is volt, and when we replace them, so we get a new unit which is given by the name of farad. Okay, the unit of the capacity is called farad. So here is the definition of the unit of the capacity, that is called farad. The capacity of a capacitor which store a charge of 1 coulomb if the potential difference between the plate is 1 volt. Okay, I repeat, the capacity of a capacitor which store the charge of 1 coulomb if the potential difference between the plates is 1 volt, means if the 1 coulomb charge is placed on the plates of the capacitor, and the volt and the potential difference between them is 1 volt, so we can say that it is equals to a 1 farad. Okay, so farad is the unit of capacity, and farad can be defined as it is the capacity of a capacitor which store a charge of 1 coulomb if the potential difference between the plates is 1 volt. Okay, so here we have a other topic that is related to electric current. So how can we define a current? Current is simple a flow of electric charges in a circuit. Here we are going to study the movement of the electron. Okay, which is known as electric current. So the electric current is the flow of electric charges uh, in a circuit. And more specifically, the electric current is the rate of charge flow past a given point in an electric circuit. As you can see in a diagram that we have a conductor, and as I told you that in a conductor we have some free electrons. So what do you remember that what is conductor? Conductor means some material which have a free electrons, so that electrons will moving in a conductor, and now we are going to move that electron from the one area to the other area, that is from point A to point B. Okay, as you can see that here we have a cross section area of that wire or a conductor. So what is current? The flow of electrons from this specific area is known as the electric current, and the rate of flow of electron from this specific area is known as the current. As you can see here, that here is the conventional direction of flow of current. So take a screenshot and we will discuss it by the diagram, that what is current. As you can see here that we have a cross section area, and in that cross section area, that how much amount of charges will be passed from that area from one point to another. So that is considered as a current. Okay, so what is conventional current? Conventional currents mean here we have some types of that. Suppose a stream of, we can understand it by taking an example, that suppose a stream of positively charged particle is being injected on a metal cup. So it is filled with that positive charge particle, and it is also showed that the electric current is flow from it. And when we fill some negative charge particle on that amount of cup or something, so the current is also passed from that object. So let us see that how current flow in a conductor. So consider a conductor in the form of a copper wire. It has a large number of free electrons which are in random motion, just like the molecules of a gas. Okay, their movement does not obey any symmetry. In the absence of an electric field, the rate of which the free electron cross any section of the wire from right to left is equals to the rate of which they cross from left to right, with the result that the net rate is 0. So now if one end of the copper wire is connected with the positive terminal of a battery, and the other with the negative terminal. So an electric field is established at each point of the wire, and now the free electrons, because of their negative charge, experience a force in the direction opposite to the direction of electric field. Okay, so here we can understand that what is the conventional current. As we know that a higher potential level is great, positive charges at a higher potential level, and when it moves from a positive to a negative terminal, So it is known as a conventional current, and flow of electron is always moved from the negative to a positive terminal. Negative, as you can see in that picture, that flow of electron is from a negative to a positive terminal. And why it is do so? Because negative terminal means there is excess of electrons, so electron are moving from the excess part to the deficiency of electron, but direction of current is opposite. It is moving from the positive charge to the negative charge. And why it is so? Because the current is always flow from a higher potential to a lower potential. So it is always, you can see in this diagram that the flow of the current is from negative to a positive terminal, and the conventional current is flow from a positive to a negative terminal. Okay, it is always opposite. The flow of electron is from negative to positive, and flow of conventional current is from positive to negative. Okay, so this is the definition of rate of flow of current through a certain cross-section area, and the formula can be given as Q, that is the amount of charge divided by time. That is how much amount of charge will be flow at a specific unit time, and the unit of current is ampere. So 1 ampere can be defined as if 1 coulomb charge is passed in 1 second through a cross section of conducting wire, then the amount of current is called 1 ampere. Okay, so what is 1 ampere? That is 1 coulomb divided by 1 second. Okay, so take a screenshot of this slide and we will move further. So here is the home task. Define electric field, electric intensity, and also write its formula and unit. So write construction and working of a parallel plate capacitor, and write definition, formula, and unit of the following terms, that is electromotive force, electric current, and ampere. So take a screenshot of this slide of home task and do your home task on your fair copies. I hope you will understand all the things. Okay, we will meet tomorrow, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.